Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
Hello, everybody in the universe. This is Jake with the Eventful Endeavors podcast, and I am introducing you to my guest today, Matty Collins with the Valerie. What's up, Matty?
What's going on, Jake? Looking forward to today and our conversation.
Been looking forward to it too, my man. It's a beautiful Wednesday here in Wisconsin.
It sure is. It's one of those days I'd probably like to be golfing. I'd take full advantage of that, but had some business to do today and wanted to make sure I didn't bail last second on this interview. I wanted to be here for this, so it's important.
My man, I appreciate it. I know you
Absolutely.
guys are already busy over there, starting of the season.
It is. It's that time of the year where it picks up, the Midwest especially, and in our great state of Wisconsin. It gets crazy that end of April to the first week of November. It's pretty much our wedding season. We're taking advantage of as much good weather as possible. Doesn't guarantee that every weekend's going to be perfect, but at least gives you the statistical chance of it being a gorgeous day. And our couples nowadays with ceremonies and things like that on site, they really try to take advantage of that weather and do as much as they can outside. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You guys are already starting the thing. So again, thanks even more for taking some time to have a quick conversation. Love to just introduce you to everybody. If you could tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into this crazy business.
Yeah, for sure. So like you said, my name is Matty Collins, grew up in Mukwonago, Wisconsin. Kind of a smaller town, but big high school. A lot of us know us from high school sports and whatnot because it is Division I. Was a good kid growing up, involved in a lot of clubs, a lot of sports, things
What
of
sports?
that nature.
What'd you play?
So growing up, I was definitely I was soccer, baseball, and golf. And then through high school, it kind of just became
nice.
golf as I got more and more involved in high school activities and clubs and things of that nature.
Oh, fantastic. So golf was the primary, and so I hope you still get to play. Yeah.
Yeah, golf was a big one, still is. That's definitely the activity I do the most of. But
Nice.
highly involved in clubs in high school. In fact, one of the biggest ones was a club called DECA, which is an association of marketing students. And that was something I got really immersed into and actually became the state president of Wisconsin my senior year, which was a big deal at the time for sure.
Very good. That's a marketing organization for students interested in that as a career path. Oh, how
Yeah,
cool!
kids that are in entrepreneurial type, future aspects. So entrepreneurship, any type of marketing, sports marketing, you name it, kind of fulfills that category in high school. And that club was the epitome of all that. So they put you in situations, whether it's public speaking, problem solving, being a business owner, what would you do in that situation? It was challenging, but it was very good for the future. It taught us at a young age a lot to deal with and what to expect with resumes and interviews and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's an incredible experience. Okay, so a busy high school scholar. Looks like had a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then tell us about some of your first jobs or how you got into the business.
Yeah, so I moved into to Whitewater for college, for UW Whitewater. Spent a solid 7.5 years there. People would tease me all the time about Van Wilder and the gentleman that was at Whitewater actually for a long time. That was not me as long as I was there. Started off full-time.
Based on you? No.
Yeah, no. It could have been, I'm sure. There's plenty of stories. But college-wise, I was always a worker. So as much as I was into school and I was taking my credits, school for me really, I don't want to say it was challenging enough, but I felt like I always liked making money. I loved being able to work. I've always had a good work ethic that I learned from my parents at a young age. And so while at college, I felt like semester to semester, I started taking less and less classes and actually working more. And an older fraternity brother of mine at the time, someone that I held on a very high pedestal, someone I looked up to, owned a DJ company. And that was the first time I got introduced to the wedding industry or event industry, at hand. Just as far as any type of event, whether it's a corporate, whether it's a birthday, a celebration, anniversary, but weddings primarily from the DJ side is how I got introduced to the industry.
Nice.
Got the opportunity. He saw something in me, saw that I was pretty type A, outgoing, not afraid to talk to people. And
Yeah.
with my background in DECA, public speaking was right up my alley. So I had no problem getting on a microphone and commanding a crowd, right? Getting people's attention so they knew what was going on, and
Definitely.
to share that focus with the couple I was working for. So I fell in love with that wedding industry quickly. It was, from
That's
a
awesome.
DJ standpoint, we were the party of the party.
Yep. Yep.
I had no problem making announcements like I alluded to earlier. We were getting a sit down dinner.
Hmm.
A lot of times we got tipped. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. And I'd still have enough time to get back to
I
school and
feel you,
still have an
man.
hour and a half of bar time. So that kind of
That's
fit
great.
into my schedule nicely. Yeah. So
Fantastic. I feel you on that one. Yeah.
it
That's
was
great.
definitely something I fell in love with immediately. It was something where
That's
I
awesome.
feel like I maybe did 2 or 3 shadow events where I worked with the owner. And then after that, he was like, hey, man, here's the reins. You got it. Take it. And I started working every Friday, Saturday for years. I mean, it just became, you give up the weekends, but for me, it was worth it. I enjoyed what I did, absolutely
Man,
loved it.
that's awesome.
And it became second nature, so to speak. It was just part of my life.
That's fantastic. Yeah, work ethic is a common theme coming up here.
Sure.
Working your way up, Kenan. That's awesome. That's very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Congratulations.
not afraid. And
Yeah.
I was going to allude to, after DJing for those years and learning a lot about the business, is when myself and a good buddy of mine started a DJ company. So this would have been
Oh
back in
yeah.
like 2003, early 2004. Had
Okay.
those entrepreneurial skills from high school that DECA taught me a lot about.
Let's go,
We
Deca.
learned, like most people that own a business, you learn as you go. So we definitely
Hmm.
went through the ups and downs of owning a business. But from my experience, and at that age where a lot of people were starting to get married, close friends from college or growing up from high school,
Yeah.
we kind of were in a good time to start a business. We had a lot of contacts in the wedding industry as well as people that were getting married. So it almost fell in our
Oh
lap in a way
yeah.
that we had a quick start to our business, which was
Yeah. I
big.
see. Yeah, you kind of leveraging, utilizing that time of life and seeing how you can use it to get something started. That's pretty cool.
For sure. No, absolutely. And it's kind of funny how you go through that process of, it was my friend and I as business partners working every event together, to
Hmm.
us where we could do 2 events. And it was like we never saw each other again because now he was working his own events, I was working mine. And, even just the
Yeah.
memory of our hiring our first employee, how big of a deal it
Oh.
was that we were having a third person work for us so we could send out, 3 shows or 3 events, as what we would say in the industry,
Hmm.
on one
Hmm.
night. That was such a big deal to us.
Yep.
So those growths through the years got pretty big. Our DJ company still to this day has an unbelievable reputation. The name of the company is a Personal Touch DJs. We've been around for 20 years. If anyone
Personal
looks us up
touch.
on the knot.com or Wedding Wire, they will see ridiculous amounts of 5 stars. We hold our
That's
heads high
awesome.
on that, especially the Knot. The knot.com, we have
Let's
about
go.
500 more reviews than anyone in the entire state, which is pretty powerful. So,
Let's go. That's fantastic. I love hearing that. Personal touch, DJ. So you've got, when you're talking Matty Collins, you're getting a snapshot into a few great,
yeah.
endeavors and companies. Starting out with Personal Touch you built, and then tell us what's next. I believe it was when Lake Geneva's next. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So what happened
Yeah.
with our DJ company, we kind of found our honey hole, so to speak, and not that you want to share that
Hmm.
information with people because they're going to go find out where this hotspot is. But no, our honey hole was Lake
Sick.
Geneva. You got a
That's
lot of
awesome.
that Chicago money that was coming up that had bigger budgets. We
Hmm.
weren't competing so much with some of the bigger companies in the Milwaukee area because we kind of had our own little spot, which was awesome. And there's enough
Yeah.
resorts and venues out there that kept us extremely busy. We were fortunate enough to become a preferred vendor a lot of these venues quite quickly, and then just created those relationships where, I felt like some of these venues we were doing 40, 50 weddings a year at just at one
Hmm.
venue. So to
Hmm.
have a few of those
Wow.
under your,
Yeah.
just say under your waist, so to speak, but to have those in your pocket was big. And what happened from that is a relationship with a wedding coordinator that we worked with a lot had made a mention to me in regards to rentals. I knew nothing about the rental
Rentals.
industry. I didn't know
Hmm.
that places rent chairs and tables and lighting and champagne walls and dance floors.
Sure.
I always just assumed these places owned all that equipment, and
Sure.
learned
Yeah.
quickly that they don't. A lot of them get them
Hmm.
from bigger rental companies, and they kind of make their markup as they rent it to the couple themselves. So it kind of
Yeah.
gave me this indoor option to start a rental company to offer those fancy Chiavari chairs farm chairs, farm
Mm,
tables, string lighting, dance floors, things I alluded to earlier. I always say like the bones of a reception. So we're
yeah.
not doing the little stuff, the linens and tableware and chargers and things of that nature. We're doing the big stuff. So,
Yep. Yeah.
that to me kind of kept it a little bit more simple. And that company just
I like
blew
that.
up. I mean, we did so well so quickly.
Wow.
And a lot of that was from the relationships that we created through the DJ side. So that's
Wow.
that's
Oh,
still
very
running
cool.
to this day, and we're doing well.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, so starting out with the DJ and then moving into rentals.
Yeah.
And now bring us up to today because I know we want to hear more about the Valerie. So, kind of what
Yeah.
brought
No,
you to
hey,
the Valerie? Why
the
there? Yeah.
Valerie is what it is. So I'm excited to share that with all the couples today. I do got to give a shout out to another venue that I worked at for 6 years. There's a
Yes.
venue in Lake Geneva, a rustic style venue called Boxton Burlap. Beautiful place. I was fortunate to get an opportunity right as I started that rental company
Yep.
to kind of take over that venue and really help with sales and to sell the place and create a space for people to have weddings there as well. And we grew so quickly and did so well at that venue that it became a hotspot. And to this day, they're doing so well. The only
Love it.
reason, really got to a point where I had to weigh my options. An opportunity, the Valerie came across the plate where I could have an opportunity to have ownership in my own venue. It's something that I've wanted for a long time. I couldn't pass that up. So at the time I was leaving
Awesome.
Box and Burlap, the venue opportunity, this brand new venue in Oconomowoc, kind of came across the plate by a couple I knew from a country club that I'm a part of, and they just said, "Listen, we've got some opportunities here. We think you're the person that would be perfect for this, and would you be interested in maybe going in on the building and layout of a brand new venue?" And I tried to keep my excitement in when they shared that with me, but I tell you what, I didn't have a
Sure.
poker face. I poured
Oh,
my heart out. I was so excited about the opportunity because it really was something that if you would have asked the younger version of me, someday what would you like to do? And I would have said own a venue. Instead of being a vendor
man.
going to
Yeah.
venues, I always wanted to be the venue that got to host all the vendors. So it's been very, very unbelievable. It's kind of one of those pinch me moments that this
I love
opportunity
hearing
has come
that.
up and where we are right now.
I love hearing that. Well, congrats, Maddie. I mean, this is so cool.
Thank you.
Fulfillment of such a long-term dream, and just
Yeah.
hearing the story of kind of working your way up, getting your door in with one sector of the industry, and then through just hard work and connections, finding your way into the venue side. And I know through my work with the dueling pianos, I know we love playing so much whenever we get to play with you guys. So,
Sure.
got to check it out, the Valerie. So, tell us a bit more about as a venue, what maybe makes the Valerie unique for brides who are
Yeah, so
shopping
the
around.
the Valerie itself, new venue, from the
What did
get-go, I
what
come.
year did you guys open? Yeah, just to elaborate on that.
So the Valerie actually is still not even officially open.
Get
The
oh,
Valerie,
brand new people. Let's go.
it's
Yep.
brand new. Yeah, that does come up. A lot of people do ask if it's a
Mhm.
renovation or something that was pre-existing and that we kind of came in and took it over. This is a brand new venue. In fact, full occupancy starts here in about a week,
Mhm.
and our first event is June 8th. So it's coming up quickly.
Amazing. Amazing.
But
That's
this
cool.
venue is, I mean, without even opening yet, we're creeping up on 80 events booked already, which is pretty incredible without even having the doors open yet to have that many pre-bookings.
Yes, it
The
is.
name is
Yeah.
out there, the excitement's built around behind it. We've done a lot of advertising. And now I'm excited because the venue, now that it's coming to fruition and that it's built, it's just
Mhm.
going to sell itself. I mean, people are going to
Yep.
walk in, see the place, and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is better than any virtual tour or anything that you guys could have ever shared with us." Because for a long time, it was just renderings and just giving people the vision, the idea, and concept. But to see it now that it's
Yeah.
at that point of completion, it is everything we promised and then some.
Pretty cool experience, I would think, from a bride or groom side to go in on something that's just the renderings because it's that new, and then get to
Yeah.
experience the physical layout for the first time. That's pretty exciting.
It's funny you say that, Jake, because my
Yeah.
wife and I openly admitted that I
Mhm.
don't know if we could have done that. I don't know if we could have booked
Right.
our
Yeah.
venue for our wedding 8 years ago, not
Yeah.
knowing the place wasn't complete yet, and kind of going on a wing on a prayer, so to speak, and
Mhm.
hoping it's completed and it looks like the way they say it's going to be. But we delivered for sure in the Valerie. So I know our couples
That's
are going to
awesome.
be ecstatic. We have a grand opening June 15th. We're going to start some open house opportunities. where I'm just there for 5-6 hours. Anyone that's booked us or couples that are interested can stop by and just see it without having to book an appointment. They can just kind of show up as they want and walk through the space. And you asked me about the Valerie.
That's gonna be awesome.
I talk about like our top 10 list. There's things that I think are so important about our venue, and I kind of have them engraved, in my mind on how I walk through couples with what we do. But the Valerie itself is a big space, okay? In the state of Wisconsin, once you kind of get to that 200 number, you almost eliminate 90% of the venues in the state of Wisconsin for capacity. So for us to have a venue that seats 350 up to 400, right away that stands out. We're a larger venue that can fit that many people. But the beauty of our venue is we can accommodate smaller events as well, because we kind of have a side-by-side ballroom set up where we do have a wall that can break away the ballrooms and kind of keep them into two separate areas without ever doing 2 weddings an evening. In fact, that has come up a couple times. I'm like, no, listen, when you rent the venue, it's exclusive to you. You have it however you wish to utilize the space. But with the grand ballroom, you've got 2 bars in there. You've got built-in LED uplighting, which is beautiful. As a DJ, we sold tons and tons of uplighting at venues that didn't have it. This space has it built right in. 25-foot ceiling, so it really gives that open air feel, makes it almost feel a little bit bigger than you would assume or get the vision of through a video. We have a 20-foot by 20-foot LED light wall, which is something kind of futuristic. You won't see it anywhere in the country. It's definitely something where if people see a picture, they can go, you were at the Valerie, just by seeing that LED light wall.
That's huge. The signature piece like that,
Yeah, we wanted to have stuff that stood out for sure to make us not only stand out, but just people, they remember it. They're like, listen, you guys got to see this place. It's awesome. And again, having stuff like that stands out is huge. The patio, 3,500 square foot patio, not only for outdoor ceremony, but for cocktail hour and obviously just drinking and hanging out throughout the evening, covered in cafe lighting. We include patio heaters, high top tables. Indoor for the reception, we provide black Chiavari chairs, so it's already kind of an upgraded chair without having to utilize a rental company to get something like that. We offer the indoor ceremony space. The indoor ceremony has its own separate ballroom that I kind of alluded to, with chandeliers, track lighting, spotlights that can be broken off from that grand ballroom, so it's its own entity that keeps it private, which is really special. And some of the bigger things that people really geek out about is our suites. So we have not only a bridal suite, but we also have a suite for the grooms as well, or again, for both parties. The bridal suite has a large bathroom, a wet bar, a changing room, 180-degree changing room, mirror size, 12 feet tall. It stands out. The women fall in love with it right away. They have individual mirrors with salon chairs for hair and makeup. You've got all the lounge furniture. It's a big space. It's not cramped or small where you feel like a closet or anything like that. But we also have a hang for the guys, right? The guys have, and usually the women will get a little jealous about this, but we've got slot machines, we've got arcade, we've got the flat screen, dartboard, all the lounge furniture, private bathroom, full bar, private changing room, everything in their space too. So, the joke has been, it's going to be difficult to get them out of that room. It's what's going to end up happening the day of,
Sounds like it.
The day of the wedding.
Yeah.
So these places are gorgeous. Yeah, I advise anyone to check out the website, thevalerie.com. We do have a 3-minute virtual tour on the main page that walks you through the space, exactly what I'm sharing with you. You can see in detail, and it really highlights those suites. So I feel like anyone that's seen those video, they remember that right away, that moment, especially the ladies with the 12-foot, 180-degree mirror changing room. It stands out like a sore thumb. So.
Man, that is killer. Yeah, everybody listening, go on to the Valerie's website, check out that virtual tour. And those type of investments, I know, is consistent with what I see a lot, maybe an overall shift in the industry, which is investing in like experiences. And that's especially for like the bride and groom and for their party to get that type of experience in their suites throughout the day. I know is something that is at a premium right now. People are very much interested in. So I love that about how you organize.
Extremely important to us. Extremely important to have both parties have an opportunity to have a place to get ready. I look at my own wedding 8 years ago where we're all in different rooms and I'm texting the guys, hey, let's meet down at 11 o'clock for pictures. And you always have that one buddy that shows up at 11:25 and everyone's just waiting for that individual. This way you can all be together, on a special day. but to have that camaraderie, to all be right there on location is huge. And you also have access at 8 a.m. I know a lot of venues out there are 10, 10:30, 12, 12:30, or even later in the afternoon. If you want to get in earlier, you're paying for that. Ours is included. So you have access right away at 8 a.m., which is also very important to a lot of our couples. And then the location accommodation. I want to explain that to people as well. That's something I highlight with every couple introduced or interested in the Valerie. You know, our location is right on Highway 67 and I-94. So we are right off the freeway. You've got the big Aurora Hospital kind of across the street from us. And then on the same side of 67 that we're on is Harley Davidson. So a lot of people can kind of get a visual and idea of where we're at. So right off the freeway, we're not 15, 20 minutes off the beaten path. And, you know, people are kind of finding their way as they go and maybe have to drive back to the hotels, or couples have to provide a shuttle service. We're right off the freeway. And then on top of that, we are crawling distance is my joke, but we're 50 feet away from the Staybridge Hotel. So our parking lots butt up right next to each other, 110 room hotel right next door to our venue, which makes it very convenient for friends and family, for the guests of weddings.
Absolutely, and especially with you guys being one of the few venues that can handle larger capacity groups.
Yeah.
So you got a hotel right there. I mean, you're set up, ready to go.
That's been big. Been big.
Well, thank you so much for going into those details and giving us a little bit of a snapshot for people who haven't had a chance yet to tour or check out the Valerie.
Sure.
Follow up, check out the website and the virtual tour, all that good stuff. Going into kind of, you're talking about the day and open early and stuff, and having experience in multiple kind of angles of the wedding industry. Love to hear any advice that you would give just to a couple who maybe just started planning their wedding. If there's any piece of advice that could pop to mind.
Yeah, you know, advice-wise, I think a couple things come up just from myself doing tours and meeting with couples. I think a lot of couples don't realize how competitive the industry is. And what I mean by that, it's good for us in the business because we do get booked up so quickly and so far out. But as a couple that just got engaged, you know, that wants to maybe enjoy their engagement for a little bit before they start doing the work, because it is a process. There's a lot that goes into one day. Do you know what I mean? And there are a lot of vendors that make that one day very, very special. But what I'm seeing consistency is a lot of couples going, hey, we're looking at your 2025 calendar and man, you guys aren't even open yet, but yet every Saturday is already gone, you know? And I'm like, to be honest with you, we're already booking into 2026. And you see that consistently with all venues. Any venue that's got a really good reputation, that's a popular spot, it's tough for couples to realize. And to me, it's almost unrealistic, but it's almost like 1.5 to 2 years out, especially with the venue, one of the first things you book. You have to book out that far in advance. And I don't blame a lot of couples that don't want to have that long of engagement. You know, they maybe want to have their wedding within the next year or whatever it may be. And it's like they find a place they love and they either have to kind of, you know, maybe choose a Friday or Sunday or something like that, maybe off the beaten path that they weren't expecting at first to get the venue that they want, or they're almost forced to look at other venues if they're really set on a date or making sure it's a Saturday. So for any new couple, it's kind of getting in front of it right away. And any vendors with great reputations, people that have an outstanding track record, beautiful reviews, they do book out fast. So any couples, as far as an engagement goes, and they kind of start that process, the sooner the better. You know, don't wait. Unfortunately, I know it's not easy to do, but I would stress that for sure. One thing I want to share too that I forgot to mention, it's very important to me. A lot of couples also ask us, why is it called the Valerie? And I want to bring that up about our venue. That comes up often. So where did you guys come up with the name the Valerie? Well, there's a few of us that own the Valerie, and it was actually a secret kept from me, which I think is very beautiful because the day we found out, it meant a lot to my wife and I. So from a sentimental standpoint, our business partners decided to name the venue the Valerie. Obviously, they asked us if we approved the name, but it's our buddy's daughter. And what we did from Valerie is every space at the Valerie, so from our patio to the 2 ballrooms, to the 2 bars, to the 2 suites, everything is named after our children. So as you see Camden Hall or Eden's patio or Emery's suite or Wesley's suite, that's our children. And that's who it's all about anyways at the end of the day for us is building something special that they can be proud of. We have those areas where they'll have like their name stamped in those designated areas so they can see their
Oh
name
man.
up on a wall. And my 1.5-year-old doesn't know it yet, and he probably won't appreciate it for about 15, 16 more years. But our 25-foot bar is named after him. So I know Hayden will appreciate that down the road, which is
That's
kind of cool.
awesome.
But I want to share that
Oh
just because
man.
that is a question that comes up a lot, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a really cool name and backstory to just the name of the venue, and it kind of
Thank
makes,
you.
love is woven into the fabric of the Valerie. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
You got all that.
Absolutely. Thank
That's
you.
really cool. Really special. Fantastic. All right, so great. And just to reiterate that last piece of advice, if you're planning early on, use venues especially, you're looking at 18 months to 2 years possibly. So
Yeah.
try and hit that right away if you're listening. So kind of in a similar vein, would love to hear if you've seen anything at weddings recently, some fun ideas or any special ideas you've seen that might be worth sharing.
Yeah, I feel like over the years, there's so many trends that kind of pop up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember DJing when I had first seen a chocolate fountain, like a fondue station. And I was like,
First
wow,
time,
that's
yeah.
kind of cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking a while ago, but I remember seeing the strawberries out and Rice Krispie treats. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And I feel like it was around for a couple years and then it kind of disappeared. And then like the next thing I saw, which was really big, was really when uplights became a part of the
Mm.
industry events in general, where you really saw these LED spotlights built around a venue space, or again rented out from a company that was coming in, bringing those in and lighting up and giving that beautiful aura and feel to a venue. I thought that was really cool. That trend hasn't left. The next one that I was surprised by is when I started seeing photo booths. Photo booths were huge. And I'm like, man, the only time I ever saw a photo booth was like Great America as a kid or a mall. You sit in
Yeah.
there, you take your
Yeah.
pictures, make goofy faces or whatever it may be. But that trend hasn't gone away either. I mean, photo booths are still
Mm-mm.
very, very popular.
Yep.
They're always busy. You know what I mean? People go in
Yep.
there, they have fun, take funny pictures. I love the companies that give a custom photo album at the end of the night to couples with all their pictures of friends and family and leaving them messages and kind of treat it as a guest book. I really like
Yep.
that aspect of it. And then I started seeing like the cold sparklers that became really popular, kind of the firework deal with the grand entrances where it's actually, there's no fire hazard or anything like that, but they're very attractive, a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, the checkered dance floors or the white dance floors with the big, like
Yep. Yep.
symbols, the couple's initials or date of their wedding. The last couple of years, those have been huge, and again, still very popular with dance floor rentals, champagne walls, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
as far as even more recent, I don't think I can touch base. Maybe like the espresso martini bars and kind of taking the
Oh
champagne
wow.
tower to like
Yeah.
another level.
Yeah.
That's a trend I see kind of hitting around, or stuff that I've seen more recent, which I think is a lot of fun
Interesting.
too.
Yeah, they could be coming around the corner even more.
Those would be a
Wow,
couple of
those
things
are
off
some
the top.
great things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great examples. Thank you so much. And then the flip side of the coin, those are some great fun ideas. Are there any ideas you've seen, maybe not so fun, maybe even cringeworthy, or that you wouldn't recommend a couple pursue?
Man, as a wedding DJ, someone that
Hmm.
hires like the friend of a friend, that has some equipment from back in the day that's going to take over this huge event for them
Mm,
and be a very important piece of their day. Those ones always get me a little cringeworthy because
yeah.
it should be professionally done. You want to entertain everybody. And I've
Mm,
said it from a DJ standpoint, a bad DJ can really destruct a wedding. And
there you have
that's
it. Yeah.
unfair to a beautiful venue or someone that, a beautiful meal or a beautiful,
Yes.
dessert or photography that can take away from the whole experience. So that's always something that's, you got to be careful with.
Skimping
I
on the
just have
DJ.
so many stories through the years of just crazy stuff that I've seen. Um,
Love to hear
you
one
know,
of those. Love to hear a
I
crazy
should
story.
say events. I mean,
Hmm.
some of it's a little sad. You never want to see
Oh no.
arguments that get to the next level where there might be fists involved.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. Oh
but
no.
but
Yeah.
even where a groom was so nervous, right? Or
Mm,
where that
hmm.
anxiety got built up that during a ceremony actually passed out. And
Oh.
where we had
Yeah.
to call 911, which is a crazy story.
Oh
He
man.
was great. He
Wow.
came back to the reception later, but there's so many things. When you've been in the industry as long as I have,
Yeah.
we're on 25 years now. I mean, I've seen so many events, and when you're doing 80 to 100 events a year,
Yeah.
you're gonna see things, right? Things are gonna happen. So there's a lot of crazy stories like that. But as far as, I mean, everybody's different. Every couple's different. There's couples that want things that maybe not my cup of tea, but it's who they are, which I love. In fact, some of the couples I love, Jake, this is a good one. There's couples we work for from the DJ side that both the couple themselves, so the bride and groom, were obsessed with, let's say more of hard rock, maybe more metal for music is what they listen to. And they knew that nobody else wanted to hear that except maybe their eclectic group of friends or their closest friends. And they didn't care. It was their wedding. They were paying for it. They didn't care if grandma and grandpa and mom and dad were upset or if people left early. That's what they wanted. And to them, from the DJ aspect, it was so important to book a company like ours at the time because they knew we were going to do what they wanted. And they were scared that a DJ company would just fall into the line of doing what everybody else wanted and not, kind of falling off the beaten path that the bride and groom had already asked for. And so stuff like that was fun. It maybe took away from the dance floor the experience that you're used to as a DJ, make sure everyone's out there and everyone's having fun. But it was about the couple. And if that's what the couple wanted, that's what you should do. And so stuff like that was kind of a unique experience I thought was fun during those times and different to see, but in the same right, at the end of the evening, to have a couple come up and tell you how much they loved you and how important it was that you did exactly what they wanted and that they were nervous that someone wasn't going to do that and just go do whatever they wanted. That fulfillment and that thank you or those hugs mean so much when you're a part of the industry. Those thank yous are more important than any tip you could ever get from someone. So
absolutely. The goal is making those lasting positive memories. And so when you feel like you've made that impact and they share that with you, that's absolutely why we're all in it. For sure. Oh yeah,
absolutely. And any way I can help couples out. Anytime I'm sitting there with couples and we're talking about the venue or anything of that nature, my big thing is sharing anything from experience that I can help them out with. I always say I'm an open book. I'm going to give brutally honest answers. Something they come off a little brash, but they're honest. And it's the truth. Yeah. Well, even like centerpieces at events. I tell people all the time, one of the most inexpensive things you can do, but it's very classy, is something as simple as candles. When have candles ever gone out of style? To me, it's still very beautiful, and it's not as expensive as long stem roses or some of the stuff that people really go over the top with. And some of those visions are incredible. But when people ask, hey, listen, we're very budget friendly. We kind of really want to pay attention to what we're doing. Do you have suggestions and ideas? It's little things like that they can kind of run with, which I think is pretty cool too. So.
Absolutely, man. A ton of great ideas in there. Thank you so much, Matty. Hey, that is it, everybody. So I appreciate you taking the time, Matty, to go through to give us so many ideas. If you're listening, I think you got a lot to think about. You got to go check out the Valerie's virtual tour. And hopefully you're just soon to be getting engaged because they are booked up for a while now. So hopefully you can get a Saturday. Hey,
I love to show the space, love to help people out, and I'm very quick to respond. I work 7 days a week. Even on vacation, I'm doing emails and phone numbers. It's the only way I know how to be. So you'll always hear back from us quickly, that's for sure.
It's work ethic. That's right. Start from the beginning. All right. Yeah, sure. Well, I know that if you mentioned, we had a specific deal offer here. So if you are looking into booking with Valerie and you mentioned that you found them through this Eventful Endeavors podcast, Matty, I believe there was something with the bridal suite potentially you could throw in there?
Yeah, I definitely said that if a couple does watch this video and actually got a chance to see our conversation and our back and forth, is that we would offer mimosas to the ladies getting ready in the bridal suite. So that's something we typically charge. It's a mimosa package that we would do through the bar because we have a liquor license that they would purchase from us. But it's something that we would offer. We'd make sure that they'd have bottles of champagne, orange juice, those champagne flutes, all set up in the refrigerator, ready to go for them as they arrive at 8 a.m. And that's something that we'd treat them on for following the podcast or checking us out and listening to it.
Coming through putting an already amazing bridal suite over the edge. Very cool.
Yeah, right.
Love that. Yeah.
It's all about that experience, man.
That's right. Well, you're going to get it at the Valerie, you guys. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jake. I've been your host, and this has been Matty Collins with the Valerie. Thank you so much for taking the time today, Matty. I'm looking forward to our next event together, my man.
Thank you very much, Jake. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.